Hello everyone, my name is Yuan, founder and CEO of DailySurprisesMedia, a lead generation agency for coaches and service providers that has generated over 100 client wins just last year alone. In today's video, we're going to talk about Instagram hashtag strategy, especially how to actually leverage it to making sure that you have maximized your exposure and your clients can actually find you organically. So for example, how my clients is able to get 64 targeted followers just with one Instagram post alone through hashtags. As always, I'm going to share with lots of data insight screenshots with you so you know that everything I talk to you today is not just my theory. I actually have solid data to back it up. And make sure you stay towards the end because I am going to share with you my super juicy hashtag strategy guide, which will not only talk about the number one mistakes, a lot of people are making when it comes to hashtags. There will always be a checklist there to making sure that your hashtag research done properly. So without further ado, let's dive right in. First thing I want to talk about is a really common mistake I see people make when it comes to hashtags. And that is they only talk about what they do and who they are, but they never really talk about who is their ideal clients. Don't worry, I know it doesn't make sense right now, so let me give you a specific example. Let's say that you are a web designer and you actually do websites for small business owners and you put out this amazing post talking about the importance of web design, and maybe you are doing hashtag web design, web designer, web design strategy, all of that good stuff, covering what you're talking about and who you are, which is all great and that should be part of your hashtags. But a lot of people forget is to include their ideal clients in there. So for example, you can also do hashtag small business owner in this case. So why does that matter? It's mainly because Instagram really showcase, let's say you are a small business owner. Okay, let's kind of change the roles and put you into your ideal client's shoes. Whenever they use Instagram, first thing is they're not necessarily use Instagram for just, business. They might want to show the personal side of them. They may show the behind the scenes stuff, their family, and they may tag hashtag small business owner, hashtag small business owner life, right? That's very likely to happen for your ideal clients. And what's more likely to happen is they are actually going to follow that hashtag as well because they are curious about, who else also in their small business owner community, what other people also do. So that's a hashtag they are interested in and they follow. What do Instagram do? Instagram say, okay, this person, this profile who identify themselves with small business owners, interesting small business owner content. So I'm going to serve that person more content geared towards hashtag small business owners. So you're really maximizing your hashtag exposure by hashtag small business owners to making sure that you have a chance to showcase in front of your ideal client post. So that's the number one mistake I see a lot of people do is they forget to include their ideal client in the post. And the second thing when it comes to hashtag strategy, and I have been testing literally every hashtag strategy there is on the internet, especially when I first get into the space, I see there's a lot of debate around is it best to put into the first line of a comment? Is it better to put in captions? Is it better to use 30 hashtags or is that too spammy? You should also always only use 5. So I always tested those out. What I find very interesting, especially over time as I serve more and more clients, what I realize is there's definitely true that there's best practice when it's to come to hashtags, as in what kind of categories you should include, always making sure that your hashtags really reflect your content, because otherwise, let's say if you're posting something not related to cat at all, but you hashtag cat and somebody else picked it up and they can flag you for, it's not related content. You can get shadow banned for that. So that's best practice. Obviously, you should follow the guidelines. But when it comes to a personalized hashtag strategy that actually works best for you, what a lot of people get wrong is you need to do a lot of tweak and test to making sure that the hashtag strategy you use actually geared towards you. So what I mean by that is I'm going to give you a few specific examples and I'm also going to show you a quick tutorial actually I filmed back then. I'm going to share on my screen so you can see it. How do you find your hashtag performance specifically? But just know this, hashtag strategy is a bit different for everyone. I have a client who actually, we optimized her hashtag, but one day she forgot to put it in her post. What ended up happening is her post actually end up in the discovery page without any hashtags. So with that, we're like, okay, let's test it again. What has been really interesting is although it's not guaranteed every time she take her hashtag off, but there's a much higher chance for her post to actually end into discovery page and get seen by thousands of new people whenever we take hashtag out. So that then become our strategy, right? Our hashtag strategy for her then become, we don't need a hashtag at all, because that gave her chance to actually get into discovery page. And for some other my clients, if they don't really include hashtags, their organic reach just not as good compared to when they actually include hashtag inside their post. So it really varies depending on your profile, and I don't think there's necessarily right way or wrong way to do it. And just also do a quick Mythbuster, because go back to the common debate I hear people always talking about, should you put in the end of the post or the beginning of the comment? I've tested for over 20 profiles, and from my test I can see it does not make a difference whatsoever. I mean, obviously it's still a very small size, like in terms of the sample size, only 20 profiles, but do feel free to test it on yours, on your client's profile, and let me know. What I only find that actually makes difference is, let's say if you post a content out there and you actually forgot to include the hashtag at your posting. Maybe let's say you post it 2 hours later, you realize, oh my God, I forgot hashtags. Then you add into your comment. In that case, what we normally see is your hashtag performance would not be as good as if you included, like let's say you post it straight away and 1 second after that include the hashtags, the performance will be less. But other than that, if you post pretty much like straight away after you post out there, it doesn't really matter if you put your hashtag within your caption or within the first line of your comment. So that's what the test results from us. And then the other thing people kind of really curious about is, should we only use 5 hashtags? I know there has been a thing talked about by so many gurus online, or should we use 30? Again, we have tested this, I would say more than 5 profiles. We didn't test it on like all our clients. We only test on the ones that want to experience different things. What we also find out is when we actually use 30 hashtags, they actually do still have better performance than only use 5 hashtags. Obviously, this is only applied to the specific profiles that we actually tested out. It may not apply to every single one profiles out there. So that's why it's very important for you to test it out to see if it works. So my theory behind it is hashtags is almost like a SEO keyword, right? So for people to find you. So in a way, the more you use them, the more likely for you to actually show up in somebody's feed. So that's why when people use 30 hashtags, it's more likely for them to get found than not. But obviously, whenever you test a hashtag strategy, making sure that you don't change all your strategy at once, because then if anything happened to your profile, let's say it exploded or engagement tanked, there's no way for you to pinpoint which part went wrong. As well, when you do tests, making sure that you do test for a whole month, because what we also normally see is in the first 1 to 2 weeks, your performance can be a bit non-stable, let's put it that way. So it may haven't quite reached the optimum level it can be. Give your strategy a little bit time for it to pick it up, because sometimes Instagram's like, this is weird, you normally do 5 hashtags, all of a sudden you do 30, or the other way around, it just takes some time for the algorithms to kick in and understand what you're trying to do. So when you actually do test out your hashtag strategy, how do you know it's working or not? What you really want to focus on is how many non-followers your post is reaching. The more non-followers you're reaching, the more, I guess, evidence there is to show that your current hashtag strategy works really, really well. So how do you find hashtag performance? In general, if you go to any of your posts, I know that for real, currently you can't really see insights very easily. But if you go to any static post that you post before, underneath your picture, straight away, if you have a business profile, if you don't know how to get business profile, Google it. It literally takes 1 minute to change the business profile, and it's for free. But if you do have a business profile, you should already, or create a profile, should clarify that. You should be able to see like a blue hyperlink right there saying view insight. If you click on it, then you will be able to pull up your insight data. I'm going to now record my screen to show you one of the kind of older Instagram posts I post out there. I did a screen recording of how I check my personal insight data. Just know that Instagram changed their interface all the time. So today's interface may look very different from the video then, but it's still going to give you an idea exactly step by step how you get to that page, so that you know how to check your hashtag performance. Then you don't really need to like rely on any, like, oh, is this hashtag strategy working or not? You can always just check it yourself and have that confidence. So let's go to that tutorial now.
Is how to find your hashtag performance. Go to any of your posts. Underneath the picture, it says View Insights. That's a hyperlink in blue. Click on that and you can see the data there. pull up that tab, and underneath it says discovery. It shows the amount of accounts you have reached and the percentage of people that are not following you. If under your impressions, majority of the impression coming from hashtag, that means your hashtag performance.
So before we actually moving on to what else can impact your hashtag, I know it sounds a bit frustrating now. Oh my God, you actually take testing, but don't worry, it's very easy to get baseline because there is best practice when it comes to what kind of things you need to consider when it comes to hashtags, the best way to do hashtag research, etc. So as I mentioned in the intro of this video, I actually have a free hashtag guide for you. Everything is linked in the description box below, so make sure you go there and sign up. You will get the hashtag guide where we talk about, not just a summary of what we'll cover in this video, but more to it. There's going to be a hashtag checklist for you to remember what you need to consider when you come to hashtag research. So it's very easy for you to get baseline to making sure you already have a pretty more optimized hashtag to test as a base, and then you can involve and test on top of it. So make sure you go download it now, but don't exit the video yet because we have the last thing I really want to show you, and that is other things can impact hashtags, which is content and engagement. And don't worry, it's not a theory. I'm going to share my screen now, so bear with me. The maybe image quality or the audio quality might drop in a second, but I'm just going to record my screen so you can see another latest post I put out there very recently showcasing my client data. Let's go there. Okay, so the screen you're looking at right now is actually a latest post that I shared. This is basically a case study of my client. You may, if you watch my stories, you know that she actually identified herself. She just sent me a message this morning saying, is that me? So you can tell here is she actually has the same hashtag strategy on both posts. But in terms of the hashtag performance, it's quite different, right? So the post on the left, she reached nearly 5K people, and out of which more than half of it is actually coming from non-followers. And you can see underneath as well for the impression breakdown, majority of the impression actually coming from hashtags. Whereas the post on the right, you can see she didn't reach as many followers as she did with the post on the left. As well, on top of it, the non-follower reach is fairly low as well. And you can see the data from hashtags is fairly low. So with that, you can see how the same hashtag strategy can actually impact posts differently. So a big part of it is what type of content pillars you put out there, what kind of posts you have out there, which generate what kind of engagement, which then obviously impact what kind of hashtag performance you actually get. Now, can you see how content and engagement really plays a big part of your kind of overall hashtag performance, right? So obviously that's with the same hashtag strategy, but two different sets. One thing we always very know that important to do is you don't want to use the same hashtag set again and again. If you repeat it way too many times, it becomes spammy for Instagram, and over time your hashtag just not going to perform. So we're making sure you use the same hashtag strategy, but the hashtag set will always vary on different posts. But for that specific screen that I just showed you before, the data insight, what it really shows you is that when we intentionally adding a additional content pillar, which is the insight you see on the left hand side where she's reaching more non-followers and more of her followers, it's a kind of engaging content pillar that we introduced, which does not exist in her content pillar before. The result of that is we really activated more of her follower base. Because more of our followers actually interact with that post, what Instagram do is like, okay, this is a popular post, let's post to more of our followers, and also making her hashtags works harder as well, because they're like, okay, so these people of her followers follow these hashtags, they enjoy this kind of content. Let's show some of her non-followers who also follow similar hashtags, who also use similar hashtags, and see how they respond to it. And because those non-followers love the post as well, that's why that post really did well on both hashtags, engagement, and everything else, and activate her follower base. But not only that, right, we still maintain the current content structure where she has her value content, which is there to really aim to drive new eyeballs to her profile. And sometimes you need to know is your value content is not necessarily always the same as your engaging content. As in, value content is what I mean by building your authorities, potentially have call to action, sales call to action to it, convert somebody into a client, right? That is not always the same or always give you the same amount of engagement compared to a post that's specifically designed for driving engagement. So don't get bummed if you're looking, if your aim is really to get more clients, but you're not getting much engagement, because they're not necessarily aligned. So don't worry too much about that. Just know that you really need to have a really well-balanced content pillars to making sure that you're not only building authority, getting people into your audience, but as well you're working really hard to nurture your current follower base. So you're covering both sides of the world. At this point of the video, you will learn the number one mistake people do when it comes to hashtags and how do you fix it quickly to maximize your organic reach on Instagram with hashtags. You've also learned what actually impact your hashtags, right? Does it matter to put your hashtags in comment section or the caption section? Does it matter to use 30 hashtags or 5 hashtags? You know exactly what you need to do to check your own hashtag performance so you can start doing hashtag tests on yourself. I also gave you the resource which is in the description below to give you a baseline so that you have a really good hashtags as a baseline so you can test from there, which is, you know, all according to best practice when it comes to hashtags. As well, you know, hashtags impacted by multiple factors, not just your followers, your content, also your engagement as well. So you know that the things you need to consider when it comes to getting organic reach through your content and your hashtags. While you're waiting for next week's video, making sure that you head over to my Instagram at DailySurprisesMedia. I have a really big IGTV resource library over there that teach you everything when it comes to getting clients organically on Instagram. Like the exact content my client put out there that generated multiple inquiries overnight through her Instagram and other juicy tips. Thanks for watching today's video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.